Welcome to the Unpause Your Dreams podcast, the show where dreams aren't just visions, they're the reality we're here to help you craft. I'm Charlene Ridley, your guide on this transformative journey. Each episode will delve into the art of dreaming big, the power of perseverance, and the strategies to turn aspirations into tangible accomplishments. Whether you've put your dreams on the back burner or feel stuck in the what's next, together we'll hit play on your potential. So dreamers, innovators, and go-getters, let's dive in and unpause your dreams so that you can live now. Hello, and welcome to episode 2 of the Unpause Your Dreams podcast. I'm your host, Charlene Ridley, founder of Unpause Your Dreams. We are recording in the Unpause Your Dreams Creative Studio, which is a creative space for aspiring women entrepreneurs in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I am super excited to be with you this week, bringing our topic of the week, which is belief. For those of you that don't know, I am a life and business strategy coach that helps people take their someday dreams and make them right now realities. Now, those dreams are different for everyone, but we each deserve to live our dreams. One of the things that influences whether or not we will pursue our dreams is our belief. And so today I want to dive in to belief, what it is, talk through it, and really help you as the listener understand how to strengthen your belief and shift from non-belief to belief so that you can pursue your dreams. So when I think about the topic of belief, I think first I'm a words person. Because I'm a words person, I am really always curious about definitions. And so the definition of the word belief is a statement that is held as true. I want to let that sit with you. It is a statement that is held as true. Now, I don't know if you believe in absolute truth. I do not. I believe that truth is relative, right? That it means it's relative to the person that is believing it. So when that comes up as it relates to your belief, whatever you believe is true for you. One thing I think that we need to think about when we say that is whatever you believe. That means that we all have different beliefs. But that if we really dig into it, beliefs are these deeply held truths that each of us have. And so when I think of beliefs, I think of them as being part of your subconscious programming. Now, I'm not saying all beliefs are part of your subconscious programming, but definitely your core beliefs. Your core beliefs, when I say core beliefs, I'm talking about your belief about yourself, your belief about people, and your belief about the world. Those are your 3 core beliefs. And those beliefs are foundationally rooted in what you experienced, heard, and believed to be true about yourself in your childhood. Those things influence your entire life. And I think it's so important that we dive into belief, because so often people will say, if you want to do something, you just make a decision and you do it. Here's where I think that sets most people up for failure. You may want something and you may want it very deeply, but if your subconscious mind is running an alternate script that says that you are not worthy of that thing, you are a failure, then it does not matter if you are consciously trying to pursue that particular goal. Many things will happen. You will notice that you may procrastinate, that you self-sabotage. Whatever you do, you will try to make that subconscious core belief right. So let's talk about it. When we dig into it, beliefs at the very, very core in the back of your subconscious mind, right? Or some people like to refer to them as the basement thoughts of your mind, right? Those beliefs will then influence your thoughts. Those thoughts that you think then influence your actions, right? And your actions will create your experiences, which your experiences will then reinforce your beliefs. So it's a cycle. It's a circular model, right? Where you're going from I believe this to be true. Therefore, I think thoughts that support this thing that I think is true. And then I take actions which align with the belief and the thought that this thing about me is true. And then I see and experience things in the world that support that, which reaffirms then the belief. And we see this happen in a lot of different ways. For example, if you have a thought that you are a failure, then you are not likely to take on new work. And what that shows up as, you may say, oh, I want to do this project, I want to create this result. But then you may find yourself procrastinating because the subconscious script that is running is that you are a failure. And so the reason that your core beliefs exist is to work to keep you safe. And if it is keeping you safe, then if the belief is that you are a failure, it is not, you're not going to want to do any action or activity that challenges that belief, because then it challenges your personal sense of safety. Why is this important? It is important because as we are understanding beliefs and what we believe about ourselves to be true, what we believe about other people, and what we believe about the world, we are able to, as we become more aware, consciously choose to challenge those beliefs. And it's in the conscious choosing of challenging beliefs that we are able to really reprogram our belief system and make some serious progress towards our goals and dreams. So let's talk about how this relates to us as people. Because in theory, right, it's this concept, it sounds super good, but you're like, okay, Charlene, apply that to my life. I'll give you a very personal example. So when I was a kid, I went to I went to a private Christian school. Most of the kids were very, very nice. I mean, kids are kids, so I won't say that I was bullied or anything like that. But we were kids, we teased each other, there were different things that happened. But there's one distinct memory that I unpacked in therapy that is a memory that started the subconscious programming of my core belief that I was not worthy. And so it's something simple. I was not an athletic child. I didn't really have a lot of desire around playing sports. And we were in school and it was time to play kickball. And all the children lined up, and there were two captains, and each of them had to pick their players. And I was one of the last to be picked. Now, you and I understand as adults that this could be strategy, right? So if I was not an athletic child, this was not personal. This was a strategic decision, because if you were the captain of a team, you should pick the strongest athletes first. However, in a child's mind, I am not sitting there waiting to be picked, waiting to be chosen, thinking this is a strategic decision. And because sports is not my strong suit, I will be picked later on in the process. Instead, what I told myself was that I was unworthy of being chosen. Now, when you hear that, it sounds extreme. But I really want you guys to just think about something that may have happened to you in your childhood that could have been something that's such a simple moment, right? Because in the grand scheme of life, in all of the years that I have lived, this small moment would often be overlooked and not considered a defining moment. But it was a defining moment for me, right? And I don't know that I recognized it. Certainly not as a child. I didn't think, oh, this is a defining moment, and forever in my life, I'm going to base my experience, my thoughts, my actions on this one moment. But what happened was it created the beginning seed of a belief. And that belief was that I was not worthy to be chosen. So once that belief started, that little seed, right, then I started to think that, right? So then what would happen is the next time something would happen, I would automatically think, they're not going to pick me, right? I'm unworthy. It started to manifest in all of my life. I was a kid. I had a crush on a boy. I never, when you were kids, you sent people notes like, do you like me? Check yes or check no. I never sent the note. I never even acknowledged that I liked him because the story I told myself in my mind is he would not like me. So here I was, same script running, the unworthiness script, right? Running over and over again in my mind, but manifesting in different experiences. I'm not chosen at kickball. I like a boy, but I'm not going to say that I like him because I'm afraid to be chosen. I wouldn't go out for certain sports because I didn't think that I was worthy of being chosen and didn't want to put myself in those situations. But then what's interesting is because you don't know, right, what's happening, and because I didn't have the opportunity to have positive reinforcement, meaning um, back then, these weren't topics that people were thinking about, right? My parents were not sitting around saying, okay, we noticed that Charlene tends to lean toward negative thoughts as it relates to her self esteem. Because keep this in mind, any negative belief that you have will destroy your sense of self esteem and your sense of self acceptance. And on the other hand, any positive beliefs that you have will reaffirm and build that self esteem and build that self acceptance. But this is not a subject that we dove into, you know, years ago when I was a kid. This is not something that parents were sitting around having conversations about, or there were no podcasts or things that were talking about how to build up your child's beliefs in themselves and create more positive experiences. So it kind of went unchecked. And as I got older and older and older, what this did was it manifested in my sense of never wanting to choose. And you may not understand that, or maybe you do. Maybe you connect to that. What it meant for me was never wanting to choose because if I chose something, I was afraid that I would be disappointed because I wasn't worthy of it and it wouldn't choose me back. What do I mean? I mean, that manifested in the jobs that I went after. Now, don't get me wrong, I've had a successful career, right? I've had some incredible opportunities over the course of this podcast. You'll hear some of those stories. I've done so many incredible things. I've been a stockbroker, a licensed real estate broker. I have been a HIPAA knowledge analyst or expert when HIPAA first became a thing. I've worked in tech. I've done so many different cool things, managing a manager at a consultant firm. So I've done so many cool things. So it didn't stop me from having incredible opportunities, but it did stop me from choosing those opportunities. And so what happened is I would always go for the safe position, whatever I was chosen for, without having any real goal or direction. It was the job opportunity that kind of came to me. And then what became of that or whatever was next. It was not me saying, oh, this is my dream job and let me pursue this because I didn't really think I was worthy of having a dream job or a dream anything, right? I was grateful for the opportunities that I had and the things that were given to me. It wasn't until I think 2016 that I went to a transformational leadership program that I started to understand belief and how those core beliefs are rooted in your childhood and impact all of the ways that we show up in the world as adults. So let's walk through this. Now that we know what belief is, right? It's something that you hold as absolutely true, right? It is stored in your subconscious mind, the basement of your mind, whatever you want to say. It's tucked away in there, right? And it influences your thoughts, your actions, it creates your experiences, and then your experiences reinforce that belief. And until you become aware of those things, whichever way your belief pendulum swings, negative or positive, also impacts to a great deal your self-esteem, and self-acceptance. Once we're aware of this, I love this, and you'll hear me say it again and again and again. Awareness creates choice. So once you become aware of the fact that there are beliefs that may not be serving you, you're able to do something about it. So let me stop here. I'll stop here because I'm going to take it back a second. I've given you examples of the unhealthy beliefs that I have previously held, but I haven't really told you how to uncover those or how I work with my clients to uncover those. So one of the things that you have to think about is anything that a core belief will always start with I, right? Now, remember I said that there are core beliefs that are about what you think about people or about the world. So let's say you have a core belief that that opportunity is not available to me. The first thing you ask yourself is, what does that mean about me? Right? Because this is how you drill down. Or remember, I said some people call it the basement of your mind. This is what they call drilling down to the basement to find and uncover the core belief. So that opportunity is not available to me. If you ask yourself, what does that mean about me? You might come up with something like, those things never happen to me. Okay, you ask yourself again, what does that mean about me? You might come back and say, I am not lucky like that. Okay, well, then you sit with that. I'm not lucky like that. Does it mean that you're not lucky like that? Or is that another way of saying, I'm not worthy of receiving those opportunities, right? Or I'm not loved enough or lovable enough to receive those opportunities. So that's how you drill down to the basement of your mind and uncover the belief. So let's do that again. Let's think that you are thinking about pursuing this amazing relationship with this person, and you think, people like that never like me. Okay, what does that mean for me? You might think that means I'm just going to wind up alone. What does that mean for me? Just keep digging, right? That means that I've always been alone. What does that mean? That means I'm not lovable, right? So do you see how the pattern goes, right? It goes from this very high thought that rejects or resists an idea that may be attractive to you, to drilling down and getting very specific. What does that mean about me? Because you're trying to uncover what you believe about yourself, right? And you keep going till you get down to that root of, I believe this, or I am this. And it's important that you hear, when you hear the I am, right? You know that that is the core belief, because your core belief is something that you hold as absolute truth. And any I am statement is rooted in identity. So it is absolutely who you believe that you are and what you believe to be true. So once you uncover that belief and you become aware of it, it's an aha moment, right? Because anything you are aware of, you have the opportunity to change. Now, this doesn't mean, we talked about it, I think, before, and if not in this podcast, then certainly in my other, in my speaking or in my social media, we've talked about the fact that once you have the opportunity to choose, you can choose differently. It does not mean that that will immediately change in your life, right? It doesn't mean, aha, I've discovered that I don't think that I'm worthy. And so now that I know that, I'm just going to choose to think differently. I wish that life was that simple. But keep in mind that these are beliefs that you have held since you were a child, most likely, right? And these are beliefs that you have reinforced consistently through thoughts, actions, experiences over and over and over again. You have looked for evidence to prove yourself right in these areas in the world, probably on a daily basis. So if you've been doing that for 30 years, for 40 years, for however many years of your life, this is not going to be something that you are going to instantly change simply by becoming aware of it. That's not realistic. And I don't want you to feel defeated that, okay, Charlene, you've taught me how to uncover these beliefs and now I'm doing it, but nothing's changing, right? This is going to have to be repetitive practice, right? And action, because these are repetitive thoughts and things that have happened to get you to this point. So you uncover the belief, you're aware of it, and now you can actually take action to challenge the belief. So what I like to say is once you get to the core of it, right? And the core, I am unworthy. You can start to ask yourself, how is that? How do I act that out, right? And you want to know this because you want to start to recognize your actions because those actions are creating your experiences. And as you recognize your actions, you are able then to challenge it through experiments and different actions to see that you can get different results. So when I say challenge it through your actions, some people call them rules, right? Some people say your core beliefs create rules that you live by. Let's think about it this way. When you live by rules, if you have the rule that I think that I am a failure, you will only stay at, you may never quit a job, right? No matter how toxic that job, no matter how much work they give you, no matter what happens in that role, you will not quit because your fear is that you are a failure and that you will have a negative consequence, right? You'll be unsafe, you'll have a negative consequence by confronting something that may make that core belief a reality for you. So what you do in those instances is you challenge the rule, right? And you may say, okay, is it true that if I am a failure and I quit my job, I would never get another job? Is it true? And you get to sit and spend time and be with that, right? Is it true that if I think that I'm unworthy, that I do not deserve opportunities that come to me? And so it's appropriate to self-sabotage, right? Because self-sabotaging may be the rule. And then you get to sit with that and unpack it. And when I say sit with something and unpack it, I mean get out your journal and spend time with it. So for those of you that have never journaled before or that aren't into journaling necessarily, I get it. I totally get it because journaling wasn't always my jam, right? I think to myself, well, I used to think to myself, oh my gosh, I'm going to sit down and just what, write? Nothing's going to come out. But it's not true, right? Journaling is getting in touch with your subconscious mind. And if you commit to the action of sitting down with pen and paper, giving yourself some time and just writing, lots will come out. But when you're doing guided journaling, right? So you're sitting with yourself and you're saying, is it true that I am unworthy? And if I apply for this job, or if I start this business, or I apply for this commercial lease, that I will not get it. Is that true? You can start to unpack all of these supporting beliefs that have reinforced that limit for you. These are important because these things are also working in conjunction with your core beliefs to keep you from taking action that you deem to be unsafe, even if it is something that you really want. So I know that feels like it's a bit of a circle and talking around something, but it's so important to understand how complex our thoughts are and the way that we work as human beings. Because oftentimes in the self-development work or personal development, we hear these things like just shift. I need you guys to know it is not that easy. It's possible, but it takes work, right? And it takes intentionality and it takes decisiveness. Like, I'm going to decide that I am going to reprogram my core belief system. And I'm willing to sit down and do the work that feels hard, right? On a repetitive basis to reprogram those thoughts so that I can improve my self esteem, improve my sense of self acceptance, so that I can go forward and achieve the goals and dreams that I've set forth for myself. So, when we're thinking through it, it's really important to start at the beginning. What are my core beliefs? What do I believe about myself? What do I believe about people? What do I believe about the world? Right? And how does that impact me? Where does that come from? How does it impact me? How does it impact my actions? What like rules or actions am I living by? And then how can I challenge those things in my daily life so that I'm able to start the process of shifting and reprogramming and going forward so that I can create my dreams. I will tell you, using myself again as a story, it's been a process since 2016. I read a ton of books. I've done a lot of transformational leadership work, a lot of mindset work, but I have to tell you, there's always those times that it still comes up. I call them sneaky little thoughts, right? Where those basement beliefs try to sneak their way back into my conscious mind and become a limit for me in pursuing my, my goals and dreams. Most recently, when I was opening the Unpause Your Dreams Creative Studio 3 months ago, I kept saying, I'm not creative. This was during the design process. I kept saying, I'm not creative, I'm not creative, I'm not creative. And that sounds like a core belief, right? But it was rooted in really my sense of not being worthy. And it goes back to my sense of not being worthy because I really didn't feel like I was worthy at that moment of having the space. And so I could procrastinate on designing the space by saying I wasn't creative. So I had to work through that, right? It took a lot of journaling. It took um, drawing out the studio plans. But what also works for me is quick action. I have heard people say before that once you get in momentum, get that ball rolling, right? Think about a snowball, right? If you start a snowball, or at least the cartoons, right? Remember the old cartoons where they roll the snowball and then keep rolling it, and it would start going down the mountain and it become bigger and bigger and bigger. It's creating momentum. And so for me, I like to refer to that as I am a sprinter. I'm not a marathoner. That means that when I decide to do something big, something scary, something outside of my comfort zone, I don't have a lot of time to accomplish it. Because if I give myself 6 months, a year, 2 years, I have a lot of time to battle with those limiting beliefs and to war with them to the point that I know myself, I tend to procrastinate or stop. So when the Unpause Your Dream Creative Studio, I gave us a really aggressive time schedule in getting it from the time that we signed the lease, right, through the design process into our grand opening. And that time frame was 5 weeks. That was without contractors. That was just doing the work to build it ourselves. But that kept me in action every single day, even the days that I didn't feel like it, that I wasn't certain about my skills. Because, hey guys, I'm not a DIY girl either. I don't know if I've ever shared that with you, but I am not. But the fact that I was on this aggressive time schedule kept me from spending too much time in my head and getting stuck. And that doesn't say that I didn't wake up in the morning like, what are you doing, girl? You have no idea. But when I did, I was like, okay, we have 3 weeks to open. You have to get in there. There's an arch wall that needs to be built. There's this that needs to happen. and you have to go. So I kept myself moving forward. And as I saw progress, right, I was able to say, okay, this is good. And it was reaffirming and reinforcing the new belief that I have, that is, I am capable of creating whatever I want. And that's replaced a lot of my limiting beliefs that have challenged me to think that I wasn't worthy, I wasn't good enough, those sort of things. And that started to help swing the pendulum in the positive direction so that I'm actually able to create more of what I want and less of what I don't want. So I hope that that helps. I know that this is a complex subject. I encourage you that if this is something that resonates with you, please, please, please share this podcast, download so that you're able to listen to future episodes, but also subscribe and leave a review. And if you're at a platform that allows you to leave comments, please leave comments. If you're not on a platform that allows you to leave comments, go ahead and follow me on social media. On Instagram, I am under 2 accounts. One is Unpause Your Dreams, just like it sounds, Unpause Your Dreams. And the other is I am Charlene Ridley, no spaces. If you follow me on either of those and you have questions or comments about any of what I've discussed here today, I am super happy to answer those and to talk you through whatever comes up for you. Again, I hope that this helps. I hope that through this conversation, you understand that there are beliefs that are driving your activity, whether they are getting you in the direction of your goals or they are getting you to move away from the direction of your goals. And that you know that you have the power to do something about it, that it will take work, right? But it's not anything that you cannot accomplish over time because you are capable, you are important, and you are deserving of living your dreams. I hope you all have a great week. I'll see you next week, dreamers. And there we have it. Another episode of Unpause Your Dreams comes to a close. I hope this episode inspires you to take action. Remember, even the smallest action taken daily brings you closer to achieving your dream. If today's episode resonates with you, please subscribe, leave a rating, and or a review. It helps us reach more dreamers like you. I'm Charlene Ridley, reminding you to never let your dreams stay paused. Keep dreaming, keep growing, and until next time, keep pressing play on your dreams.